So somewhere from a dark corner in my mind, a memory originated of a series called It's a Kinda Magic. It ran for 2 seasons. The first one was released from 2008 to 2009, and then 9 years after the run was completed in 2018, another season got released. And yeah, there's some pretty banger episodes there in season 2, it had plenty of potential, and I'm glad that they continued it. So the animation series is French. It's from the same publisher as Oggy and the Cockroaches and Lucky Luke. But I doubt anyone overseas will know about Lucky Luke. It's really typically something European for some reason, but we'll talk about that eventually. Also, for some reason the new season of It's a Kinda Magic was called It's a New Kinda Magic. So maybe the continuances of the series, if it ever gets more seasons, is It's a Newer Kinda Magic. And It's an Even Newer Kinda Magic. And maybe we'll even get a It's a Newer Kinda Magic. But maybe that's just me wishful thinking. Okay, so what this story boils down to is that a fairy and an ogre married, and that's a taboo in the fairy tale world. So Gregor the ogre and Willow the fairy move to the real world. Kinda sounds like a cliche that's already been done before, but it's not bad. Also, a frog is there that used to be a prince. I love the froggy, they're really cute. Well, until he returns back to his human form, then I'd probably kick him out with house. And also there are 2 kids, Tom and Cindy, together with Aunt Ursula, by the way. Oh no, wait, Ferocia. But she looks like Ursula, so I called her that for years and my life is a lie. We also have Gregor, he's the father, and he's actually a vegetarian, but the running gag is that he used to eat children, which is fake. I definitely wouldn't be if my wife looked like that, but vegetarian bros, yay! And this is Willow, she's the fairy, she's got that magic wand, always nice for a plot device. So the show focuses on the kids primarily. Usually it also has something to do with school. And growing up to be normal kids and stuff. But magic. No, seriously, that's usually where the conflict arises from, because of magic. And yes, there are exceptions. Also, there is this episode where Tom buries the magic wand in the forest. Even though magic is still used for its plot synopsis, because the magic wand getting angry. Yeah, it's sentient for some reason, don't question it. Anyways, in this plot synopsis we see that the parents are totally desperate without magic. They can't even open the fridge door. They can't even make a sandwich. Which is ironic because Gregory usually plays the moral high ground like, how dare you use magic for this? Such as in the very first episode of the series, where Tom fails to learn his homework properly. So his mom magically instates all the information inside of his head, plus more. She literally installs the library inside of his head. After being confused that the computer was magic, she always confuses things from magic. It's kinda cute. Not gonna lie. And for some reason when the books go out, she puts them in the trash can? What a waste. So the conflict basically arises from the dad saying, no, you'll have to learn this from yourself. Which is quite hypocritical because he never shies away from using magic either. In high proportions. So that didn't really carry any morals, but there are episodes that are better. Such as I mentioned season 1 episode 18, The Wand's Burial, where the conclusion is that it's okay not to be normal and have a different culture. That's if you read into it a little bit more. Then again, some cultures are harmful and shouldn't be practiced, especially if they call women mentally insufficient, because that's something that comes with all genders. Generalizations are yucky unless there's like some sort of rule book on how this group should behave. Then it's open to criticism. Also, let me focus on this episode that always for some reason was on when I was watching Jetix. I think it was still Jetix back then. And it was also on this channel called Catnet, I believe. But we don't talk about that, because that's Belgium. Basically Dutch with extra steps. Ha! Ridiculous. Anyways, I remember being sick as a kid, and there was this episode that they broadcasted like 3 out of 7 days when I was ill. And it was about Tom wanting to go camping with his friend who looks like Link, like in the backyard. And the mom was like, no, it's so dangerous, you can't do that. And the dad was like, sure, you can do it, if you do the laundry. And for some reason the whole Salvation Army was there. Because don't tell me you can do all of that laundry in a weekend. So obviously he uses some magic cleaning powder, and the laundry becomes a monster. Also, I was about the same age as these kids. And this was the very first time I experienced sexual confusion. I swear I should have listened to that imam when he said that animals are wrong. Anyways, I think the moral of the story that this episode was trying to tell was don't take shortcuts to your shores. But I highly disagree, and I think it's admirable if you're able to find hacks. I mean, dropshippers get flack, but most companies in the EU are just like selling crap made in China. That's just being resold for like 5 times the price. Maybe it's a good idea to like buy crap from China and just resell it for like 4 times the price and still undermine the competition. Oh, thank you so much, Maria. You are so intelligent. I'm gonna subscribe right now. Like, who needs employment, right? Well, not the parents of this family. The only time I saw the dad trying to get a job was during the Halloween episode, where he dresses like an ogre, which is ironic because he actually is one. And he doesn't want to get fired, so he tries to scare people. There's this old lady who kind of looks like a witch. She's not even dressed up, by the way. And she's like, "You need to give my customers a heart attack." And he's like, "No, I refuse." And she's like, "No." And then she just stares at him with Argus eyes every single time. Compassion wins in his heart. And I guess the old hag just doesn't care anymore because she's only got a few years left anyways. Anyways, there's also some more meaningful episodes, such as the one where Gregor, the dad, again, is afraid of the dentist. And so was my dad, that's why all his teeth rot out of his mouth. But anyways, I always thought that was an irrational fear because those people are there to help you and to earn money. So I would never fear the dentist unless the dentist is of some sort of like cult ideology that's against humanitarian liberty. Anyways, if there's one favorite episode I've got to pick, it's either episode 5 of season 2 or episode 4 of season 2. Episode 5 is about going viral, which is basically self-explanatory. And Cindy in season 2 has a crush, who is a very shallow individual despite of her trying to impress him all the time. Definitely not worth it in my opinion, but hey, love makes blind. And there's plenty of other things that make blind too, but hey. So going viral is mostly about how the hive mind of individuality, especially within this century, is rather limited. And it really hammers home the 15 seconds of fame subject. And especially if there's not enough substance there, the spotlight will move on. Basically making this episode a speedrun of the life of a meme. Now, trying to save the best for last, to my humble opinion, the episode before going viral is called A Natural Beauty. And it's all about how some people will only perceive you for the person who you are, or will admire your beauty, if they fit their little narrative, or the criteria that they think that you possess, which is usually really shallow. May I even add service level? So it's about Cindy trying to save a tree because of a boy, but she's completely invisible to him, despite of being fully aligned with his intentions, and despite of helping Ahmed bar the tree with chairs, despite of them being made of wood, which also used to be trees. This little sanctimonious hypocritical cunt starts spreading flyers of "let's hope recycled paper," and Ahmed only notices Cindy after she manipulates her physical entity with of course magic and accidentally turns herself into a Sylvari, which is basically some sort of humanoid nature entity. If you played Guild Wars you get the reference. Anyways, at the end of the day, resistance was futile and the tree that was set to be chopped down falls in on itself because of misery, because a freaking squirrel landed in it. Anyways, for some reason there was personal growth then within Ahmed and actually treats Cindy with human dignity. I swear, he would have already blown his chances with me, especially since there was nothing kind coming from him to Cindy, despite of all of her efforts. Luckily for him, Cindy barely has any self-respect, and we end up with the trope "will they, won't they," which is kind of annoying, especially considering that the morale of the populace is kind of dependent on it, and he's rejected her so many times it's not even funny. And I'm not even exaggerating, media forms individuality, and the ideas planted in our minds by the media we consume are very real. In times of spiritual growth, we also had great art, excellent art that people could strive to be part of, such as the Renaissance, primarily also inspired by the statues which were crafted by geniuses such as Michelangelo. Inspiration brings inspiration. Anyways, the show was alright, I guess. Despite of magic being the main subject, not every episode was magical. And on IMDb, it's in between 6 and 7 stars at the moment. What I thought was the most memorable part of the show, let me think. Definitely the plot. Duh. Also, the episode Natural Beauty ends with Ahmed actually doing something righteous and deciding to fight for the existence of bees. And then Cindy beats the crap out of him because he called her Windy.